Welcome to the Comfortable in Chaos Podcast. Strangle your demons and let's go.
Y'all need Jesus!
Beaten by the Queen of Hearts every time. Have you heard about the lonesome loser? He's a loser, but he still keeps on trying. Welcome to the Comfortable in Chaos Podcast. I am your host, Eric Hellberg, and you know we're like Einstein over here, man. We have no special talents, we're just passionately curious about all things pertaining to men. And I'm going to develop an episode and tell you how being passionately curious is the only way that you can grow as a man, better serve your family or those loved ones around you, and really your community at large. But we're living a month and a day. We could continue with the perfunctories of the intro. But I want you to know, when I sing a song to you men, and don't we all love music? The melodic nature of music, especially if you even go back into the Bible, David would play the lyre, he would play the harp. Unfortunately, today, the devil, and for a long period of time, has corrupted it. You have to be very careful what you listen to. I'm always thinking, especially when I'm really jamming and vibing, man, what is this? What is the underlying message? What are they really saying? And sometimes, no matter if I like the song, I like the beat, it sounds totally badass. I'm like, I just can't listen to it because those words belie something else. And I'm so worried that I will be corrupted. And music is the perfect vehicle for that. Why do you think there is so much emphasis in this world on it? And why do you think all these musicians, think P. Diddy, the producer, and all this bullshit stuff, why is it such a world of debauchery, dread, and death? Anyways, that's not where we're going. We're going to go a million different places. But I attach meanings to the songs that I sing. I want the message to correspond, and/or I will make the message correspond to the song. Just remember that, guys. So let's just continue. Sit down. Take a look at yourself. Don't you want to be somebody? Someday somebody's gonna see inside. You have to face up. You can't run and hide. Have you heard about the lonesome loser? Beaten by the Queen of Hearts every time. You get it, right, man? All right, let's move on. Talking about lonesome losers, I'm thinking of FLOTUS. You're like, Eric, what the hell is FLOTUS? Well, we hear POTUS all the time, right? In this ever-emerging world of technology and communication. And here's the thing, too, on this ever-emerging world of technology and communication. It used to be that our government, hell, even the church, all these organizations could get by with doing shit in secret. The world didn't have the ability to communicate about it. Certainly not to photograph it, to demonstrate it to people otherwise. But now, in the age of technology and media, everything is so rapid fire. We do have that ability, so we can find out more. But that's why you always heard fake news from President Trump. And he was correct. But now they gaslight us more. So just as we have the ability to receive and collate that information for ourselves and decide for ourselves, they are constantly bombarding us with alternative messages that are contrary to what it is we could fashion into a belief and try to get us to believe otherwise. So it's just a different type of asymmetrical warfare, and it is always ongoing. All right, so what the hell is FLOTUS? Well, if POTUS is the President of the United States of America, FLOTUS is the First Lady of the United States of America. And I was looking back through some of the old captions that memes, we would call it now, that I save, especially when I want to go back, prep a show, talk about stuff. And I have one of good old Michelle Obama, who could quite potentially end up being our Democratic nominee for president. We've already talked about that. We talked about it last year. We will know more once Democratic National Convention occurs in August, of course, in Chicago, good old Chi-town, a horrible town, to be honest with you, filled with good people, but it's been under Democratic control for God knows how long. And have you ever noticed, let's go back to Hiroshima and Nagasaki, the two Japanese cities that were obliterated off the map via the atomic bombs. They all got rebuilt. If you were to look at them today, they look marvelous. They're pristine and clean. One, that's part of Japanese culture. Two, they're not going to let people adulterate their place. They have honor. They have a code. So those towns, cities, have been completely revamped, redone. In fact, they're more impeccable than any city in America. But you take me any large urban area in the United States of America that has been under Democratic control, let's say since Hiroshima and Nagasaki rebuilt itself. And here is what you will find. Hiroshima and Nagasaki, despite being bombed with an atomic bomb, look so much better than the democratically controlled urban populaces in America today since that time. They look like they have endured an atomic bomb. And there are no plans for changing it because these people cannot govern themselves and they can't govern the ones who support that they want to hold. It is a vicious cycle. So speaking of Democrats and speaking of FLOTUS, I saw an old meme and I remember when she said it and why there wasn't an outcry. God only knows. We had been so conditioned for so long. First Lady, President Michelle Obama, quite potentially your next Democratic nominee for president, said she's never been proud of America. That's wonderful. Whereas Melania Trump, viciously attacked by the Democratic Party, said, I wanted to become a citizen of America, and she did it the right way, the legal way, and went through the time constraints and all the hurdles that come with it. Because I love America. I grew up hearing about America, so I wanted to become a citizen of America. That's quite a different aspect, isn't it? Someone wants to be a citizen, becomes a citizen for their love of this country and what it represents, or at least did represent, whereas the other, who was born here on the Democratic side, Michelle, Michael, whatever the hell you want to call him or her, size 14 Adidas sneaker, great, has never been proud of the country that has given her everything. But yet she wants to tell you that you have not one thing. There is nothing to be proud of here. That's amazing, Michelle. You have reached the pinnacle by any standard of measure, but yet you have never been proud of this country. You want me to tell you who also isn't proud? The Kenyans, right? Barack Obama Sr., the Kenyan man that left Barack at 2 years of age, never had anything to do with him. Okay. If you guys truly wanted to do something for your country and no more racial division in the modern era occurred than under you guys watch, yeah, you Barry, you Michael, and if it is truly African American, why has all your family in Kenya disavowed you? If you were truly concerned about the African American plight, Barack, why didn't you take more trips to Africa? I believe you did one, maybe two. They told you to get the hell out of there. They wanted nothing to do with you. They said you do not represent them. Moreover, you have nothing to do with them. You have more money than just about anyone off of our backs, and deals that were bestowed upon the falsehood of who you portend to be but actually are not. And what did you do to help your family in Kenya? What have you done to help the African continent, Barack? But I guess once you were promoted in the system, you just went about your business. Where is the African American plight? Barry, Michelle, America, black people in America, do you realize how fraudulent these people are yet? Kenya wants nothing to do with their native son. And I'll tell you this, the soul of Africa right now is at stake. America has abandoned Africa, but we're humanitarians, right? Everywhere we go and wreak out destruction is all in the name of humanitarianism, except on the continent of Africa. Oh yeah, but Billy Bob Gates will go experiment back when him and Melinda were together and kill 200,000-300,000 at a pop with their miscellaneous vaccines. Oh yeah, the good old Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. But for some reason, Africa and its people have always escaped us, and really worldwide. And did you know that Africa is rebelling back? They don't want any part of this colonialism. The heart and soul of Africa is at stake. And you know who's stepping in? Russia, China, and the African nations want not one damn thing. They would rather live in the way they are than to come under the yoke of the United States of America at present. And what is the U.S. doing right now? Oh, they're convening a big U.S. NATO summit in Washington because these mofos are, I think they're prepared to go to nuclear war. I think they want to push it so far that they want to go to a nuclear war. But I think what you're also finding is Japan is on the exit. Japan is on the exit because even though it is still a Global 7 or a G7 country, did you know Japan has now sent soldiers to fight against us? Yeah, Japan has now sent soldiers to fight against us in Ukraine because there are all sorts of people being brought into Ukraine to fight the Russians, the great existential threat. The good old USSR, the Ruskies, the big bad Russian bear. The bear never did anything other than come out of its cave when we entered the cave. So a vast departure for Japan. And really what Japan is saying, the Western ideal, your democracy has decimated our culture. A culture of honor, a culture of duty, and we do not want to be one of your serfs any longer. Remember, Japan was the first industrialized nation whereby the prime minister issued a heartfelt apology for the COVID vaccine and debacle. They said they should have been stronger. They should not have went along with the worldwide hegemony. And moreover, they have said that the vaccine is akin to murder should you take it. No one in Japan will be taking any further vaccine with regard to COVID or any of their newly associated viruses or vaccines that they put out to subject us to more torture, more confinement while they do what they may. Japan took a stand. And since the French are so hell-bent, if Macron has his way on sending troops, and you're like, why are they so dogmatic in trying to get troops in Ukraine? Because the ones that have been there, unbeknownst to you since day one, are all dead. They've had their asses handed to them. They are embarrassed. And now they are bolstering more support. And Japan said, you know what, if we're going to continue this damn, I guess you would call this charade, we're going to commit troops. And did you know Japanese soldiers, and let me tell you this, Japanese soldiers are badass. They're on the ground fighting for Russia and Ukraine right now. You're like, we didn't hear about that. Well, you're not going to hear about it. You're going to hear about all the other bullshit. You know what else you haven't heard about? The Chinese Communist Party, as they're referred to over here. The army's called the PLA, the People's Liberation Army. Did you know they have landed in Belarus, and Belarus has remained neutral? They support Russia. And they're right on the border with Ukraine, so that provides a protective hedge against Russia. The U.S. has engaged in so much malfeasance trying to turn that country against Russia internally, but they're not budging. But what they did do is they allowed the PLA, the People's Liberation Army of China, to land. And you know what China has brought? China has brought its technology with them. You see, and it's very hard for you to fathom. You haven't seen this. Do you know they have robotic infantrymen that they have developed in China? If you were to see them on a screen, they look kind of like a mechanized dog. Yeah, you've heard about mechanized infantry, right? Think Bradleys, think armored fighting vehicles, soldiers dismount. Nah, man. The Chinese have a robotic dog type creature that runs and guns. And Belarus is the perfect place for it. And they have landed there, an unknown number of soldiers. I have seen the videos. And what they are doing is buffering that whole line, whereby if NATO decides to converge with its personnel, they are going to be fighting, for lack of a better term, Chinese robotic dogs that are impervious with guns. That is in Belarus right now. Moreover, Japan will probably be exiting G7 and joining their neighbors. And who are their neighbors? Russia and China very soon in BRICS. Saudi Arabia has already petitioned. Come 2025, they're in there too. They're done with us. And let me ask you this about Japan. The great old Bushido culture. They were savages. They were more brutal than the Nazis. Think about the rape of Nanking when they went into China and would take babies, toss them up in the air, and land them on their bayonets. They raped countless women, cut pregnant women open. They did the same experiments that the Nazis did. But what did we do under the Marshall Plan? We rebuilt both Germany, we rebuilt Japan, and we forgave Japan of everything. Why? In the name of the almighty dollar. We knew their industriousness. We knew their tenacity could be a benefit to us in the world marketplace, right? Oh yeah, I mean, how much money have we made off Japanese technology, equipment, cars, phones, computers? You don't ever hear about that anymore. In fact, if you want to look at studies right here and now today, the two automobile manufacturers in our United States today that are the most American, because when you look at supply chain logistics and you have factories throughout our nation that make automobiles, for example, Nissan, also Japanese, in Canton, Mississippi. I watched that one being built during that time frame when I was working there. But it doesn't matter if it's GM, it doesn't matter if it's Chevrolet, it doesn't matter if it's Ford, and it doesn't matter if they have factories here. They bring their parts and components from all over the world. They may be made in the southern hemisphere, they may be made in Mexico, they may be made in China, and they're brought here and assembled in our factories. The two most American vehicles in America today are Tesla, which makes sense. Thank you, Elon Musk. But I'm not sure how much we should thank Elon Musk, because when we had a Tesla, my family had one, at that time, Elon Musk, for every Tesla automobile that he sold, he received $8,000 back from the United States government in a subsidy program. What a wonderful thing. Thank you, Elon. Thank you, U.S. government. Thank you, Tesla. There is your economic incentive. That is one of your most made American cars. Now, the second one is a Japanese manufacturer. Honda has more American-made components and parts than any American manufacturer on the road. So American-made automobiles do not exist anymore. It is a farce, and it is a telling sign of the times in which we are living. So back to Japan. We went to war with them. We said, hey, they've changed their ways. Despite all the atrocities, despite everything that's happened, hell, we nuked them. But we can work with them. But for some reason, we can't fathom that the USSR fell and then became an entirely new country. It was okay for Japan, it was okay for Germany, but for some reason, Russia is so much different than these countries and therefore deserved of war. Nah, man, we're being led astray. It's that gaslighting that I'm telling you. This is a war that cannot be won. And Mother Russia is the one country that can stand in opposition to what it is that we are truly trying to achieve. My buddy Elon knows that at oldcountrysoap.com. Chaos20 is my promo code that will get you 20% off the best soap in the world. Hand cut, handmade, cured for 1 month. I now have some good reports back of someone using it because before I said anything about it, I wanted to know that his rosacea was getting better, and it is. We already know about how it combats acne with the bentonite clay that is put in there with the coconut oil base. It's infused with essential oils. You will not find a finer soap in the world for the money that is made by hand and does so much good. You can dispense with other products. It can serve your hair care needs. It suds great, and people love it. Get the tallow-enriched formula. Buy whatever color you want. No bar looks exactly the same. oldcountrysoap.com. Elon will be waiting to hear from you. OLDE is how it is spelled. But we're going to build out some of these issues because if we continue in this vein, you will be hearing about, have you heard about the lonesome loser? And it will be us, man. It will be us. So until next time on the Comfortable in Chaos podcast, I bid you bon voyage, my burgeoning flock.